Hello to everyone and welcome to Growth Hacking and Outbound Marketing. Today I have Chris Dreyer. He's one of those founders who revealed some of his secrets of growth hacking, and he's certainly the CEO of Rankings.io, which is a law firm that helps to be first page ranking. And if you are a law firm and you want to be on the top there and the really, really top, he's going to tell you the best secrets. Thank you very much for being here, Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here and share our transparency and tips with the audience.
Thank you, man. And I love to catch up and learn because you told me like you've been hustling a lot. And tell me what's your background and why did you end up doing SEO ranking for law firms?
I've got a really interesting story, so I'll try to shorten it as much as possible. But I graduated with a history education degree. And I was working at a school and I had a lot of free time in the detention room.
Oh, good.
Started Googling how to make money online. You know, the best phrase ever, it's filled with all kinds of results. I ended up stumbling across Ed Dell's 30-day challenge. And it was a challenge in 30 days, you're supposed to make like your first $10 with internet marketing. I think I made like $20, but it gave me the basis of understanding and how to pursue this as a real-time job. So I dove right in, and within 2 years my affiliate income was surpassing my teaching income. And I went all in. I got a mentor, and the next thing I knew, some of these business owners that I was doing the affiliate marketing for started contacting me because I was selling more of their product than they were. So they contacted me for consulting. So I started consulting for a lot of businesses, and then agencies started hearing about some of the work I was doing. And I consulted for 3 or 4 digital agencies, and then kind of transitioned from affiliate marketing to digital agency consulting and eventually started my own agency.
Wonderful. Tell me, who are you mainly focusing in your agency? Obviously, it's clear. And is it only in the US or anywhere in the world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So US, currently US, and basically just law firms. And we hyper niched, right? So we only do SEO and we only work with law firms. And as I mentioned before this cast, we had a little bit of a stunt of our growth when we started, going into other niches like home services, physicians. But we laser focused back on law firms, and it helped us, with our marketing efforts, with our hiring decisions, with our policies and procedures, and every component of this, world. And it really lets us speak to our clients' pains, and it helps us understand what they truly need. And so we are hyper focused for only SEO and only law firms.
And I love that. I think you make an itinerary ranking system trademark. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So, because we've just laser focused, we have this framework that it works really effectively for law firms. It has a lot of the core fundamentals of search engine optimization, but it has some legal niche specific things that really work well in the legal vertical.
And that's a funny question, because in Spain, if we approach or if we do outbound to lawyers, you might get like a penalty, because theoretically it's, they know all the laws, and if they can, like, how difficult is to do outbound to law firms?
So we don't do a lot of outbound. So, cold emailing, cold calling, those types of components. Basically, how we've built a presence is focusing on our brand, focusing on content marketing, and then also strategic relationships. So one of the big advantages that a lot of business owners don't talk about is when you do hyper focus, you only do a few things. So there's a lot of things that people need that you don't do. So you can set up strategic relationships with other agencies, possibly for website design or for pay-per-click or Facebook ads or growth marketing. All of these different components can make up very strong strategic partnerships for referrals.
And I guess when you go like, I don't know if in the US, I'm sure there are like any attorney has like a number, and if you go to the state, there's a list of attorneys with the correct number. Is that how you get sometimes the attorneys in Spain? How it works? You go to the government website where all the attorneys of Spain is in there, and you can just like send them an email or put them on a. Does it happen the same in the US?
Generally speaking, the attorneys reach out to us.
Good, that's amazing.
So we do very little cold. It's primarily inbound is where we attract these relationships, and it's a bit different. You can find these attorneys, and they make it more difficult to contact them directly, right? A lot of these are gated through secretaries and their intake, so. That's why cold isn't quite as effective. I know it's a strategy that works.
Oh, yeah.
For our ideal prospective client, we're looking for, firms that have probably already worked with an agency in the past and are really looking to get results and work with the best.
That's wonderful. Tell me what type, let's say, why someone will get you guys, how you make it to, how is the magic happens? Because I guess if you're so focused on law firms, why you wouldn't put one first or the second? Why is it based?
So your question, why we focused on just law firms?
Sorry, yeah, it's I would say, let's say if you have 5 or 6 law firms, and then who do you choose to be first? Is it based on what they pay you?
That's a great question. So, many of our competitors don't offer what you're referring to as geographic exclusivity. So it's a conflict of interest when you work with more than one law firm, for their primary practice area in a market, because ultimately you're going to be competing against yourself. And if you truly want to be first, and the first result, not just on the first page, I mean the first result, you have to do a competitive analysis to beat all of those that already have an existing market share for those rankings. So that's factored into the strategy. It's factored into the budget, how much content, what types of architecture improvements they need on their website, what they need to do in terms of their link acquisition, link building. All of those strategies come into play. So that's one of the reasons why geographic exclusivity is so important for a results-oriented SEO agency. There are certainly, other SEO agencies that can help, startup attorneys, get their framework, get their base built, their website, and kind of lay the foundation. But when you are in a very competitive, very saturated market, it's expensive because it takes a lot of content, a lot of link building, a lot of strategic planning. And so that's why, typically most of the results-oriented companies just offer exclusivity.
That means it's just like, would you choose, if you are more interested in working in, let's say, New York in some specific area with just one customer, or you would take any customers in the area?
Well, we're looking for, hungry law firms that have realistic expectations. And, we're not looking for just complacent law firms looking to earn a living. We're looking for ones that are actively trying to grow their firm. So the other thing is, in the States, the attorneys specialize in different practice areas. So you'll have a personal injury law firm that focuses on, injuries and car accidents. So we would work with one of those, but it wouldn't be a conflict of interest to work with a personal injury attorney and a bankruptcy attorney. Because it's different services. So we could work with a bankruptcy law firm, a personal injury law firm, a business law firm, all in the same city, because they have specializations. Yeah.
That means it's really like you can even niche down your niche, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah. So in the US, there's very the really successful firms generally specialize, and they're very hyper focused as well.
Wonderful. And how would you, like, in a customer flow, how do you convert a customer? Anyone listening, how difficult is to convert a customer for an agency, and how do you do it for anyone listening?
Yeah. So the first, so we have a kind of a short sales cycle, a shorter sales process. And basically what we do is we ask questions, we do, a little preliminary analysis to get to know their firm and, and try to understand their goals and to see if they're qualified, to see if they, realistically can meet these goals. But, after this initial consultation, we do what I call a strategic consultation, and we build out a whole strategic plan all on Trello. It's very visually appealing. It shows, competitor benchmarks. It shows, keyword strategy. It shows content comparisons, website speed. It's just a full diagnostic build out, and we review it together. So they get to help us adjust and create this strategy. So it's basically a joint kind of project where we're working on it together to build the strategy, so that everyone's on the same page for these realistic expectations.
And do you take coffee every day? Do you know from like coffees for closers only? How is the closing? Can you have the coffee every day or not yet?
So our lead gen, we don't currently, being really transparent, we don't have a ton of leads. We may get 30, 40 leads a month. But realistically, a small percentage of those are qualified, because we only want to work with those that are actively trying to grow their firms. It really eliminates a lot of prospects. It's just maybe they're not ready at this point in the game, and they would be better for someone else. And, once we build out these strategic boards together, in that second kind of a conversation, and they're really invested, and they're participating as a partner in developing this strategy with us, because they know their market and their competitors better than we would. Our closing rate after that build out is extremely high.
Yeah.
What we found is going straight from lead to proposal, or, doing these RFPs where you're just generating proposals, they very rarely convert. So we like to get a conceptual agreement that they have an issue, that they understand what it needs, to get results.
And I love, and we have finally it has two kind of market. I have the user comes in, buys, goes, very cheap product and $50 a month. But we also do agency work. And what you're telling me, it realizes a lot to me, because I get customers say, and it's very clear in your LinkedIn, guys, I can help you in these three things, which I love it. The description is like, are you losing sleep on how to get new customers? Are you overspending pay-per-click? Do you want to Kafka anchor an SEO agency? Then, hi guys, call me, I've got your solutions. It costs you, and you say, however, our minimum monthly retainer is $5K a month. And I love the fact, hi guys, I can help you, but just to let you know, it's $5K a month. And was it difficult from putting, I don't remember, your first customer $100 or $300 a month to up to $5,000, that what you're doing is working. How was that transition between 100 or whatever? How much were you charging for your first agency work?
Oh, so it's very difficult. So our first clients were, we did a lot of pro bono free stuff. We did a lot of free stuff, and we did a lot of stuff less than $1,000 a month. And, in the beginning, we were doing I was doing a lot of the self-implementation. I was wearing multiple hats, and so we were dramatically undercharging, and it makes it really difficult to compete in these large markets with large budgets with a team. When you go into Los Angeles or Chicago and you're trying to compete with a $500 or $1,000 budget, it just makes it very unrealistic. And, basically we go in and do this competitive analysis. So we look at each market. We use tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush to evaluate the competitiveness. So the prospect can see, what it's going to take to get results. If they have, 50 referring domains or 50 backlinks, and the number one result has 10,000, obviously we have to do a lot of link acquisition and link building strategies in order to get them market share. So, with that radical transparency and building out this strategy together, it gets them on the same page and they understand why we're suggesting a much higher budget. It's not because, this is our fee and it's just this flat, set fee. It's based upon the competitiveness of the market. If we're in a smaller market, let's say Carbondale, Illinois or Southern Illinois, the fee may be much lower because the competition's not as high and they stand a much better chance to get results.
But also, even the market is not as
right.
big either.
Right.
I love to be in a huge market where it's high competitive in a way, isn't it? What do you prefer? What is better?
So the most fulfilling is just generating results for our clients, helping them grow their firm and seeing the impact that we have. But what really drives me is I love going up in the toughest markets, your Chicago's, these major markets, Philadelphia, Houston, and, making an impact there because it really separates the men from the boys, so to speak. So that's what really, motivates me and, drives me is to really have.
What hack do you use, for example, for a super crowded market? If you can share whatever you can share, it doesn't. If you can share any hack for any crowded market, which I'm sure can be implemented in any other market.
Yeah. So I'll give you 3 big ones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is content, expanding the length of your content dramatically. So Brian Dean did a study in 2016 that found the average first page result was 1,890 words. A similar study was conducted last year and found that it was over 2,000 words. So what's occurring is as the internet expands and more pages are added to the internet, it becomes more competitive. And Google can't read the smile on your prospect's face, right? They can't understand emotion and see if the consumer's happy. But what they can measure is if a consumer stayed on a page longer than another, they had more dwell time. So things like expanding your content not only will give you the opportunity to rank that page more effectively, but it also adds more synonyms and related phrases that you could potentially rank for. So that's the first step is to really expand your content and really make them robust pieces. The second large tip is making your content more accessible. So one of the big problems I see is someone will have websites have a flat architecture. Let's say it's site.com and then your keyword. If you have a flat architecture like that on your website, Google has a difficult time determining relevancy and what the page is about. And so it really makes it important to internally link with keywords properly so that Google can understand what the page is about, not only from the page titles and the content on the page, but also the inbound links and the internal links. So really to improve your site architecture with keywords and really a heavy focus on internal linking has a dramatic impact. And the other effect with internal linking is, again, it keeps the users engaged on your site longer, which helps with SEO. So that would be my second tip. And my third tip would be to heavily focus on link acquisition and be aware of link building. So, Google's core foundation was comprised of links as the main metric that categorized the search results. And think of it as, votes, so to speak, of who will rank on the first page. And now Google's made improvements in their algorithm and, they have spam filters and all these algorithmic checks, but still at the core foundation, links make up a heavy influence on who's going to rank. So getting, topical and niche specific links from industry specific sites and just these very authoritative sites have a dramatic impact. In the legal vertical specifically, sites like Avo, Justia, HG.org, Nolo, Lawyers.com, all these types of sites and other big firms really have a very large impact on rankings.
I love what you're telling me. And in a way for us, SEO hasn't been such a big thing. Content hasn't been a big thing. We've been terrible. We do a lot of outbound, and I think it's so important. And that's why, we brought Chris in the growth hacking about marketing because it's super important to be aware of like content and whatever link acquisition. Just for you to understand how do you do correctly link acquisition. Can you give me some tips on anyone thinking, yeah, link acquisition, how do we do it correctly?
For link building, link acquisition?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so the first thing is there's some very good tools out there. So my favorite is ahrefs.com. Another great tool is simrush.com. And
we have the one from Neil Patel, which is just giving away.
Yep. So it allows you to do competitor backlink analysis so you can see where your competition is listed. So, that's a beginning part of the link acquisition strategy is deconstructing your competitors' links. And then there's a lot of other strategies. So, most often people get into the data entry, which are directories and profiles and things that everyone has access to. And we haven't found those to be to provide as much value because everyone has access. There's no barrier to enter those. Anyone can get those. The things that separate, our link acquisition strategies are first guest posting on, being a guest contributor, a guest writer on very influential sites with big audiences, because those sites, when you get a link on one of those sites, they're actively trying to grow their site. So they're getting a lot of inbound links. So your link that you may have got 3 years ago, when their profile wasn't very big, it just keeps growing and growing it. And they're doing a lot of your link building for you, essentially as a second tier. The other strategy is kind of back to the content, is when you create these exceptional pieces of content, it's doing outreach to interest groups. So, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, it could be veterans organizations, it could be, whatever the interest groups are, and getting links from those individuals really have a strong impact. But most of it starts with a strong content strategy, creating, these epic pillar pieces of content that people, find out about. Our SEO for Lawyers guide post that ranks, in the top 3 or 4, it's in the rich snippet and it's ranking in the top 3, it's over 20,000 words. So it's really these pillar pieces of content that can have an impact on your link acquisition.
And this week we were doing some tests, and it's like, let me impress Chris Dreyer this week. I don't know if it's a technique, but we did this. We put, let's say, verified emails on Google, and everyone who was talking about verified emails, like, fuck, let's send them an email. Let's say if we can do a guest post with them.
Yep.
Stuff like this, isn't it? There's a lot of outbound marketing here. There's a lot of emails and cold calling. And is it better to outbound to generate backlinks or to generate customers?
Generally, yes. Yeah. So outbound does play a large impact for link building, because a lot of these relationships, especially for new businesses, we're all trying to develop these relationships. So outbound plays a huge factor. And it's targeting the right people with the right message. If you say, hey, can I write on your site? And you don't, you got to provide value. You gotta speak to the right audience and have the right message. And you have to benefit them, right? You have to give them something in return. It's that reciprocity that comes into play. Tapping your existing network, your influencers and your own tribe is good, but that's only going to take you so far, right? In the beginning. So you need to start developing these other relationships for link building.
I love it, Chris. Chris, thank you very much. And just to finish up and to wrap up, can you give me a life hack and a work hack and a personal hack?
Let's see here, a life hack. So I would say having a routine, right? Particularly in the morning, is extremely important. And let's see here, a business hack.
Morning routine. Come on, specifying that.
A business hack would be reading and consuming as much information as possible. So on your commute to work, don't just, listen to the radio, the same song that you've heard 5 times, or 100 times. Listen to podcasts, listen to, other experts, consume their information. And, Audible books are tremendous.
I am addicted to it, man. What audiobook are you listening, or what was the last one that you loved?
So I've been listening to a lot of Grant Cardone stuff, but
I love it, man. 10x conference.
Oh yeah,
yeah, good one. I love. Have you been to the 10x conference? Did you go?
I haven't. So I've got a whole stack of books back here. I'm an.
Is it the 10x there? Isn't it the yellow one?
Yeah, 10x is back there. So
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, last year I read about 51 business books, and so we're trying to trying to go up to about 60 this year, and that had a huge impact. And it was basically just on my commute to work, listening to audiobooks and just when I'm traveling on the plane reading, and that's how I got through those books. In terms of personal, I would say, just really setting time aside to set the phone away, to focus on relationship and still do the things that you did to win that person, have a huge impact. And, every morning, texting your wife and basically just staying really well connected there.
Today is Valentine's Day. Did you give her flowers and chocolates?
Oh yeah, I hope she's not watching this live because I told her about her. But I gave her the edible arrangements, and we're gonna cook some scallops and stuff later. So
wonderful! I love it, man. I hope she doesn't for surprising. Actually, now that you say about the personal life, I love to stay a bit longer, which I usually stay. But I have my 2 nieces. I need to go to pick them up from school, and they live in 20 minutes, and I have to shoot off there, man. I really enjoy talking to you, Chris. I think we can catch up again soon and talk about Grant Cardone and some of the books I'm sure that we read together. Anyone who wants to contact Chris Dreyer, please, how can people get with you? How can anyone speak?
Yeah, so our website, rankings.io, you can contact us there, or if you want to contact me directly, it's Chris, CHRIS, @rankings.io. Just shoot me an email, and I respond to all emails, so I'm happy to answer any questions and expound upon what we talked about.
Good. Thank you very much. Please, Chris, don't turn off yet. Thank you, everyone, for listening and to support Find That Lead and Growth Hacking Outbound Marketing. Rankings.io is here to help you with your SEO. Thank you very much, guys.